Hey everybody, Off the Mic Sports Network. I feel like I need to do this because I think this story has fallen under the radar in the world of Major League Baseball. This is actually historical for this channel. This is the first video that I've done about Major League Baseball. First of all, shout out to Shohei Ohtani. Maybe the greatest season in the history of baseball, going 50-50. Doing a 3-home run, 10 RBI game against the Miami Marlins. Congratulations to Shohei Ohtani. That's justifiably going to get a lot of the headlines in Major League Baseball. But that's not what I want to talk about here. I want to talk about the Cleveland Guardians. And yes, you know what? They've won enough. They've won me over that I've removed the ban of not calling them the Guardians. I could still call them the Tribe. You know, it's still an adjustment for me to change the name of this team. But this team, the Cleveland Guardians, on Thursday, clinched a spot in the postseason. Last year, they didn't even sniff the playoffs. They had a over-under win total in Las Vegas by almost every sportsbook of 79.5. At 79.5. They, as of this recording, have won 89 games with 8 games remaining in the season. They're 89-65. They are a half game behind the New York Yankees for the best record in the American League. The only other team better than the Dodgers and the Philadelphia Phillies, two of the better teams over in the National League, both have 91 wins. But for the Cleveland Guardians to be in a position 6.5 up, they're going to win the American League Central. To be at this spot on a new manager who had never managed before in his life, in Stephen Vogt, to come in with this team, lose your starting pitcher in Shane Bieber like the first 2 weeks of the season, for them to be in this position in the playoffs with 8 games to go and a chance to virtually probably lock up by the end of this weekend the American League Central, the division, is nothing short of remarkable. It should be celebrated by the rest of the baseball world. I understand why it won't. It's a team from Cleveland, Ohio, with not a lot of recognizable players. But if you haven't been watching guys like Jose Ramirez and Josh Naylor and Stephen Kwan play for the large chunk of this season, you are missing out. This is a fun baseball team. They play with a ton of joy. You should have seen the locker room situation after they give Stephen Vogt a championship belt. They're just going crazy with champagne all over the place. These guys are having the time of their fucking lives. And I didn't think it was possible to replace the legendary Terry Francona as the manager of this baseball team. He took this organization to heights it hadn't been in like 20 plus years since I was a kid. The 2016 and 2017 runs through the playoffs were some of the best moments of my life as a baseball fan. Like, it was really genuinely a blast to watch this team with Francisco Lindor, Jose Ramirez, Jason Kipnis, you name it, Corey Kluber. And then, unfortunately, we all know how 2016 went with them losing to the Cubs in 7 games, even though they were up 3-1. 2017, I've told people I'm more mad about that season because they had a 22-game winning streak. They were the best team in the American League. They could have honestly gone on and won the championship. And then knowing what we know about the Houston Astros, hey, if the Houston Astros were cheating on everybody, but they blew the series against the Yankees that year, and it really has been an uphill climb for this team. They did get to the playoffs in 2022 and push the Yankees to 5 games, but last year was really a struggle. Terry Francona had been in and out with health issues, and he decided to step away. And I thought it was going to be really, really hard for this organization to find a guy who could fill the big shoes that Terry Francona and the big legacy that he left on this organization for the longest time being there. And Stephen Vogt was a questionable hire because he had never managed before. He had been well respected in baseball because of his time being with the Oakland Athletics. He had been on a couple of benches, but he never managed at the level of the major league level. And he has come in. He's got a youthful exuberance about him. He's been able to inject life into this organization. And it's just remarkable, given nobody gave this organization and this group a chance in hell, let alone after you lose friggin' Shane Bieber right off the bat of the season. They don't really have an effective starting pitcher. They've been doing it by committee. And then probably the Cy Young Award winner in the American League, Emmanuel Clase, who has just been absolutely freaking remarkable this season. He's got 46 saves. And the guy just does not give up runs. He just holds leads. That's all he does. And if you look at the rest of the American League, there's a really big argument that, well, first of all, Stephen Vogt, you should just give him the manager of the year like now. Hell, you probably should have given it to him 2 months ago. Because how this Guardians team was in the position they were, they struggled a little bit after the All-Star break, but that naturally happens all the time. But just give the Manager of the Year award to Stephen Vogt, because that guy has done he's just done just amazing things, yeoman's work with this roster that won like 80 games last year. Like, this is insane what this team has been able to do. Their top pitcher has 12 wins in Ben Lively, and yet they're still finding ways to manufacture wins. It's really just hard to describe how, as a Cleveland sports fan, and I've loved this organization even through the name change and through all the misery that has caused me, I've always loved this Cleveland baseball team and this Cleveland baseball organization. But this is honestly one of the coolest teams and one of the great stories that I've ever seen. Not in just Cleveland baseball, in Cleveland sports, because everybody left it for dead, and they're in a position to potentially, have the top seed in the American League and contending with the New York Yankees. And they're just a couple games off from the Philadelphia Phillies and the LA Dodgers. And the sad thing in this whole thing, and before I get to the sad part of this whole situation, in that they're not getting enough attention, Emmanuel Clase, even though he is a closer, there is precedent to have this done. He should win the American League Cy Young, because his role in this organization has been absolutely freaking incredible. Because here's his numbers, for those of you who don't know. He has got a .63 ERA. A .63 ERA. He's only given up 2 home runs, 8 strikeouts per 9 innings, given up only 37 hits, and 5 earned runs on the season. Only given up 2 home runs. Like, that is, for a relief pitcher, that is just absolutely bananas. So, shout out to the whole staff, people upstairs, Chernoff, Chris Antonetti in the front office, and then making the big-time move to go and take a bold risk on Stephen Vogt. And then shout out to Stephen Vogt. First year on the job, and he comes in, and this team is going to win somewhere in the range of 90 to 95 games. With 8 games left in the season, you can do the math, and they're probably going to clinch the American League Central within the next handful of days. The magic number, I don't have it in front of me, but this is really just an amazing, amazing story in the world of baseball. And the sad thing about it is, not many people are going to talk about it. And people going into the postseason are not going to give this team a chance, because they don't have the superstar power of the Phillies like a Bryce Harper and a Trey Turner. They don't have Shohei Ohtani like the Dodgers do. They don't have a superstar starting pitcher. They don't have Aaron Judge. They're not the Astros. You can insert your cheating jokes in the comments. They have none of that. But you know what they have? They've got heart. They've got grit. They've got guys who just go out there and just wing it. I mean, I love the mentality of this group. And like Jose Ramirez is like the ultimate tone setter. And he could have went anywhere else in baseball, and he's still doing it at a high level. And he consistently has resisted the urge to get traded. He stayed in Cleveland. He's being rewarded for it. This is, again, going back to 16 and 17, those were 2 of the best teams that I've seen from this organization in a long time. Going back to the 90s were obviously the glory days with 95 World Series against the Braves. They lose 97, one of the most demoralizing losses I've ever seen in my life. But this is just, you just see the joy that this group plays with, and just how, freely they play. And I think that's something that you need in October, when a lot of these favorite teams are going to get really tight and really nervous around these things. We've seen it with the Dodgers for so many years, have all the talent in the world, and then they just tighten up and they lose to an 80-win team in the playoffs. I'm not saying that that's going to happen this year, but that, based off of history, that might happen. You need to be a team like the Guardians, who are like, hey, they're doubted. People don't believe in them. So it's kind of sad that not a lot of people are giving this story the attention that it deserves, because A team that was expected to win around 80 games is going to probably win at least 90 and maybe more, and win a Central Division that was, had some pretty talented teams in there. Like, you have Minnesota's really good, Kansas City's on the rise, and they were able to hold up. Don't mention the White Sox. The White Sox are god awful, but I needed to bring this up here on the Off the Mic Sports Network because, first of all, I haven't talked a lot of baseball, but I love postseason baseball. But it is just fucking wonderful to see an organization that I've rooted for my entire life. Meanwhile, the football team is just an atrocity. But this baseball team has been going about its business throughout the entire season. And to get rewarded like this in a big time spot and now get to go to the playoffs, probably be the AL Central team, and they'll probably get a bye because they've got to just hold on and be the second seed. But they could potentially be the number 1 seed in this expanded postseason. So they'll get a bye into the division series. And I really expect this team to be competitive and potentially win a world championship. Because why the hell not? Baseball is the sport with the most parity all over the place. Like, for God's sake, the Arizona Diamondbacks barely made it into the playoffs last year, and they were playing for a world championship. So why not the Cleveland Guardians winning a world championship? So I hope that people watch this video and understand that this is, honest to God, one of the great stories in sports this year. It's one of the great stories in Cleveland sports history because just from where this team was, like, having that demoralizing and disappointing season, seeing a legend like Terry Francona just step away, bring in a new guy and manager, lose your starting pitcher, your star starting pitcher in the early going of the season. And here you are, almost winning 90 games and probably going to win the AL Central Division and clinch your spot in the playoffs with 8 games to go. That's insane. So congratulations to the entire organization, all the Guardians fans out there. My boy Edgar, I know you're watching. Just keep doubting this team, man, because they are a pesky bunch, and they are going to surprise some people in the playoffs. I'm looking forward to it. We'll have a lot of coverage of it here on the Off the Mic Sports Network. I'm very excited to talk some playoff baseball. It's a big intro for you, so thanks for watching.